This is the first in a series of 3 videos about how to use keyframes. This video will introduce you to the concepts of keyframes, and then we're going to use keyframes to zoom in and pan across a picture. The software I'm using is Adobe Premiere. However, there are lots of other video editing programs that work in a similar way using keyframes. So this technique is useful for lots of different software. So once you've imported your media to your video editor, in this case I just have this picture here. I'm going to drag it into the timeline, and that gets you started. So you can see each one of these dash marks represents 1 second, and in this timeline we can count them. How many frames? 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 frames in a second. So we have 30 frames within a second. And if I click on this, double click on it, this little clip here pops up, and I can edit it. The audio's here. We're going to look at the effects controls though. And so this gives us the different variables of the clip. And the 2 variables we're going to look at right now are position and scale. So maybe for this, the first thing to do is to create the keyframe. So by clicking this animation, toggle animation, it says that I want to start manipulating these variables, and it creates a keyframe. Right on the frame that I'm on, you can see how it moves down here on the timeline and up here at the same time. So this is my first keyframe. And a keyframe is a frame where you set the variables to a certain point, and that's where they will go to for that frame. So for this, maybe we'll start zoomed in. So I made 2 keyframes, one for position, one for scale. You can see them over here. And I'm going to zoom in, so I'm going to set the scale to 157, looks good. And then this is the X and Y coordinates. So I'm just clicking and dragging left or right to adjust the variables. The other way you can adjust them is just by clicking on the number and changing it. So I could change this to 100, 199. And so this is my first keyframe. And then if I don't make another keyframe, then it's just going to stay here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a second set of keyframes. I'll keep it the same scale, but here, this is where you add or remove keyframes. I'll keep it the same scale, but I'll just pan across. So I'm just going to change the position. So I'll just change the x-axis, pan across this way. And I'm going to set another keyframe here for the scale, just to make sure that it stays at this scale all the way to here. And then the next variable I'm going to alter will be the scale. So from the second keyframe I make to the third keyframe, it's going to go from the scale I set it to, and I'm going to zoom back out to 100 and 100%, and I'm going to center it. So I'm going to put another position keyframe here. So that looks pretty good. So now you can see if I go back to the beginning and hit play, it's going to start zoomed in where I set the variables. It's going to pan across, and then it's going to zoom out and center the image. So this is a simple application of keyframes. So as you can tell, there's 30 frames in this second, and this is one of the key frames. And each keyframe is just a frame where you've designated certain variables within the effects. So I hope that helped you get started to understand how you can use keyframes in video editing and other types of animations. Until next time, enjoy your day.